G'day everyone, Mike Evans and Casey Pine from Spy Curious. Great to see you. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the program today. It's going to be very quick, short, dog-friendly. Dog-friendly program today. Episode 265, I believe. Let's have a look. 265. Wow. I'm sorry we couldn't be here last week, people. We were so busy. But what was happening last week was Casey was cross-examining some people 7 days ago to the day. G'day, Chris. Congratulations, mate, on your first aid, mental health first aid qualification you got this week. Well done, champion. Have you got your medal yet? It should be there. G'day, Amber. Great to hear from you. People, Amber has got her New South Wales private investigator licence this week.
Congratulations,
well done, Amber. Hang on, I've got to get some Amber balloons going. Well done, Amber. Congratulations. Hi, Michelle. Great to see you. So anyway, Casey was cross-examining people this time last week. Down in Melbourne this week, Killer Greg Lynn is in court, and there was a heated exchange under cross-examination between his barrister representing and defending him and a couple of the people that gave evidence, including a firearms expert. Now, I just want you to have a look at what the barrister was saying. This is exactly what Casey said to the people she was teaching last week. Well done, Amber. Congratulations. That's really great. Getting that 2E license is amazing. The accused, Killer Greg Lynn's legal team have accused forensic expert of lying, collaborating with prosecutors and giving misleading evidence. This is straight out of the Casey Pine cross-examination textbook. Look at this. Here she goes. So that's false evidence. That's just a lie, he said. It wasn't a lie, was the reply. Do you have some ongoing difficulty with your memory? This is what Casey was hammering people about. He'll never speak to her again. Last week, here the barrister, this is in a real court, what Casey was doing in a scenario in class last week, accused Mr. Ghilardi of flagrant breach of the rules of evidence, procedure relating to expert evidence, and he was not qualified to give an opinion on the theory of what was relevant in the case. So everything that they just said there was exactly what Casey said. Poor innocent victims in class last week who have told their colleagues, g'day Jamie, good to see you, mate. They've told their colleagues that that's going to be happening to their colleagues in about 3 weeks' time when Casey does it again. So does that vindicate exactly what you said last week, Casey?
Absolutely. No misleading the court, please.
So this morning, I got up at 4 a.m. like I usually do, and I heard some sirens going. And what had happened was there was a restaurant in my local area that had been firebombed. And I didn't know at the time. I just heard the sirens. And on the local news thing, you know, your Facebook chat with your local crimes and all that sort of thing, it showed the restaurant, the fire is there, and there was a fuel container outside and the building had suffered smoke damage and all that sort of thing. So when this sort of thing happens, I'd like to go to experts to find out what really happened. And here's our expert, Gromit.
If you ask me, I'll tell you. If you ask me, this was arson.
Arson?
Aye, someone arsing around. That's right, one of you lot.
Someone arsing around. That's what was happening where I live this morning at 4:15. And that's the second time that building's been firebombed in 3 weeks, which is a very dangerous situation because they have staff there and there was a security guard there on the spot. So someone could have been injured, let alone the fireys going in and having to put it out. And they were wearing breathing apparatus in some of the photos. So it was a very, very dangerous situation beyond just someone arsing around. So that happened this morning. It was quite a shock in the news. So I'm going to come to some of the jobs, but Casey's got some big Casey Pine news about Victoria.
Well, it's not that big after a very very lengthy and difficult process. I am now licensed in Victoria as an investigator and a trainer. So that's really great news. For someone trying to get licensed out of state for Victoria is just a very long and arduous process. So if you're thinking about getting licensed in Victoria, just start the process, because it's not going to happen quickly. It takes a very long time. So start the process as soon as you can.
But unlike Amber, who just, applied for a New South Wales license and got it the next week, you started your application for Victoria. Casey, when did you start your application?
Oh gosh, I think I
September last year?
Yeah, September last year. I had to fly to Melbourne to get fingerprinted, and that was after I had to book it months in advance as well. And someone showed up. He was just before me in the queue, and he showed up to his appointment that he had booked months in advance, and he had booked the wrong type of fingerprinting and had to rebook again. And he was so upset because he had to wait months for that appointment and now has to wait months again for the next appointment. And what a debacle.
And he was a security guard though, was he? Or
yeah. I'm pretty sure security guard, yeah.
Make sure you tick the right box on your application. But the good thing about Victoria is you don't have to hold your qualification.
Thanks.
Amber's got to give you a coaching on how to get a license. Yeah, well, apparently this guy is a ex-racing car driver, and he's got some debts to a carpet laying company or something. So second arson attempt on that restaurant. That's shocking. It's very awful. Up in Townsville, where Casey will be cross-examining victims again in a few weeks' time, the mayor is in all sorts of trouble up there again. He was on the news this week about his claims to be in the Defence Force and his claims about being a businessman and a soldier and a gas fitter and being qualified in business, and he was bankrupt for quite a large amount of money, and there was improprieties, and it's all came out on the news up in Townsville this week, or one of the interviews on one of the nightly programs. So he's the one that was wearing the wrong medals and got himself into trouble with the Defence Force. So we've been following that program. You do not do that. In Melbourne this week, I'll go and do the jobs first. I'll come back to that actually, because there's some pretty good jobs this week. Good. It won't take long, Jamie. That won't take long at all, mate. That master license will come through pretty quickly. Good on you. Manager of Compliance and Investigations for the tobacco and vaping industry down in South Australia in Adelaide. So 106,000 to 108,000. With this role, you're going to need a certificate in government investigations as a minimum. It's a management role, so probably a diploma of government investigations. Typical government compliance enforcement role, you probably have a 9-day fortnight. So it's quite a bit of money for that. I'm sure there'll be generous superannuation, but that job's available in Adelaide right now. That's the same job. Head of Fraud Prevention, Conduct and Integrity, a 6-month role at iCare in New South Wales. Now, to be in charge of fraud prevention, conduct and integrity at WorkSafe New South Wales, which is iCare, for 6 months, you are going to achieve exactly what I just said. That's what you'll achieve in 6 months. Otherwise, come and work for me, because you are going to be some kind of amazing superwoman. All right, because you can have any kind of impact in that time, right? Meaningful impact, I'll employ you, all right? Quote me. Senior Investigation Officer, up to $3,000 a week for fire and rescue in New South Wales. So you will definitely need a minimum of a diploma for that qualification, diploma of government investigation, more likely an advanced diploma for that one. WorkLogic in New South Wales are looking for a trainee workplace investigator. SureFact are hiring for general insurance and work cover investigators, all around the country. Quantum Corp are looking for a Gold Coast CTP factual investigator. CTP means motor vehicle accident, so compulsory third party. Melbourne licensed circumstance investigator. Quantum Court want a factual investigator. What's the difference between a circumstance investigator and a factual investigator? It's geography. In Victoria, they call it CERCs. Everywhere else in the real world, they call it factual investigations. It's just one of those things that's happened over the years with lawyers, claims managers calling it circumstances, other states call it factual. That's just the way it goes. So when they give you instructions to conduct a CERCs investigation in Victoria, you know, it's a factual investigation where you go out and take statements from people. The other thing that you can do is a surveillance investigation. And so it's just differentiating between surveillance and factual circumstance investigation. So that's all that means is ProCare using the local language. Lewis Wanastall Associates, you'll need a certificate for in government investigation to work for one of the leading investigation agencies in Victoria. Great team at Lewis Wanastall. Here's Dougie's Matty Wallace, the assistant superhero assistant, hero support, Dougie, hard at it. On surveillance this week. So if you saw this dog in a suburb near you, you might have been under surveillance. Surveillance investigators are wanted in Perth, Western Australia. Where do you find these jobs? I'll come to that in a minute, people. Desktop investigators for factual and surveillance for Morris J. Kerrigan and Associates. That's on this week. Licensed surveillance investigator, Allied Universal, formerly MJM down in Victoria. Gee, there's a lot going on this week. Back to them. Field agents, Cat seeking field agents throughout the country. Get in touch with Cat. And won't go into that one, but I'll just go back and show you where you can find these jobs. Here we go. I'll come up. This is the Australian Security Academy Facebook page where we put up 10% of the available jobs that are out there. And if you're an Australian Security Academy student, you're licensed and you want a job in investigations, get in touch with me, okay? And I'll connect you up with some people out there who like to talk to you. So that's really important. Those of you that are waiting on our mental health medals, they're coming. I've got them. All I've got to do is take them down and get your name put on them. So they are coming on the way. And Casey's got an update with what she does best. Here's Casey.
It's not necessarily an update. It's just a recent tip of the week. And this is one of my favorite tips because it is often overlooked and it is something that I have used time and time again to get really important information. So it's such a simple trick, but knowing this will really help up your game with desktop investigations. So I received a question about who might be running a website if someone's been scammed. This was an exceptionally good scam. They took the person for tens of thousands of dollars, and it was really intricate, lots of social engineering, phone calls, lots of stuff, and it seemed really legit. The person also had their bank confirm, like say, do you think this is real? And like the bank's like, yep, that looks great. And their financial advisor, yep, that looks great. And it's not real. And they asked me to have a little look into what I could see. And within 2 minutes, I could see that there was definitely something up. And how would I do that? I use who is information, which is information about a website that's registered, and you can see who's registered that website. So for example, I sometimes use who is, but my favorite at the moment is who XY, which is a great, it basically just takes all of your who is information and puts it just in a really nice and simple format. So you can see we've got the australiansecurityacademy.com.au, and you can see that Michael Evans is the registrant and the technical contact, and he's the person behind this website. So most Australian websites either have the name of the owner or the name of the hosting company, which usually has the hosting company's name, and you can click on that and it'll take you to like an Australian company that hosts it, or a web designer or a marketing team, whoever did the website, you can clearly see who it is. But for more nefarious websites, This is the website that I was looking into. It was Eastwood Wealth, and you can see here that it's only 10 months old. What did Mike say? Went 4 months back. So that's our .com.au. It's not our .edu.au. You can see here that the registrar is Nycinic International Group Co., which has 172,281 domains attached to it. So just be careful with false positives with this. That's a very unique name and a very unique company name. So it's likely that it does have 172,000 different domains. Whereas if you go back here, we've got the registrant here is Michael Evans, and it says that he's got about 3,000 domains, which if you know Mike, he's not that technically savvy. He does not have over 3,000 domains. Michael Evans is just a really common name. So be careful of false positives there. But when we click on that 172,000 different domains, you can see that they are registered to that name, and you can see the different different websites that they've set up: Account Recovery, Rate City, My Personal Portfolio Online, JFM Group. So these are different scams that they just registered a whole bunch of domains in bulk. So if they come up with a new way to scam people, then they have a domain already. And one of my favorite things about this Who XY, so it says also the country is China here, but this is supposed to be an Australian investment platform. And as soon as you see China, Russia, Nigeria, red flag, massive red flag. So you go, no, you can see how long it's been registered for. So it's only been registered for 10 months, and the country is China. You've also got this registrant name down here, Graham Smith, which has 205 different domains registered to that name. And basically that, when I clicked on that, it had just attached Graham Smith to Nycinic International. And I'm assuming that Graham Smith is purely a falsified name. But that company you could definitely look into. The other thing about this is that when you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it gives you past records of who owned that domain. So maybe they had the domain, and this, remember, I'm still just looking at the eastwoodwealth.com. So this is only 10 months old, but with some of the different ones, you can go back a good couple of years, and it might not have been Graham Smith, or maybe they're using something now to completely obfuscate their identity, but maybe they had originally set it up under their name. Because what a lot of scammers do now is they use services which basically just say like a private or redacted or a false name. So they're using proxy services to obfuscate their information. And if this scam's been going for a long time, they might have originally just set it up underneath their name because maybe they weren't a particularly sophisticated scammer, but now they're learning the tricks of the trade and they're moving along. And if you can look at that history and maybe get a name, that would be fantastic. So this is all on, I'll tell you the website name. So it's just whoxy.com, and it basically is just an API, a nice and clean API that goes to Whois data. So it's a fantastic tip, and just automatically send that through. And this is something the banks missed. This is something that the person's financial planner missed. It's something that they missed. It's such a simple way to go, hold up. They say that they started in 2000, but this website's only 10 months old. And who is Graham Smith? And why is this attached to China? So these are questions that they're flags that you can't ignore, and they're flags that people just do not know to look for. So now you know.
Can't say you weren't warned on that one. Thanks, Casey. That's a great update and a really good example. People are just trying to throw money into scams. It's
This guy
amazing.
was like, he was backwards and forwards. He had telephone calls. He had email exchanges. He asked his bank to look into the website. He asked his financial planner to look into the website, and they all said, "Go for it. It looks legit. Why not?" And complete scam. So, and yeah, tens of thousands of dollars gone. This person investing their life savings on, they weren't promising, this isn't a Bitcoin scam. This was just a general, I think they were buying bonds in different states, and they were promising around, I don't know, something simple like 7% returns. Like, so nothing ridiculous, nothing out of the ordinary, just, and he found it through an ad as well in a newspaper, I believe. So like, it's just, they're hitting people every which way.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of scams, down at the trial in Melbourne with Lisa Wilkinson, the reporter, it's been reported this week that Lisa Wilkinson's barrister was charging her $8,000 a day for that trial, which went on forever and ever. And there was a half a day there that that went on for her as well. Yeah, I agree. So $8,000, $4,000 for a half a day that only went till lunchtime. It's all over the newspapers in Melbourne. So Casey's going to get all excited after a cross-examination thing today, confirmation that this was going on. I reckon $8,000 a day is cheap. That's bargain basement price for a barrister today. I hope my barrister isn't watching, but your price is fine, mate. They just stay competitive. But you're $11,000, $12,000 a day in today's environment. Be more like it. So Lisa Wilkinson, whatever that is added up to at the end, that was a pretty good deal she got there for a barrister representing her like that. And Lisa Wilkinson, basically, I think she won her case, so she's got nothing to complain about. Down in Tasmania this week, the coroner has ruled the death caused by a wife's jilted lover 55 years ago, that the man who they never found his body, that was married to the wife who was having the affair with the killer, they never found his body, so they've declared him dead today. Now, this goes back to 1967, when a 43-year-old vanished, 1969, 43-year-old man vanished in Tasmania. He was never seen again. He went out to play badminton or something like that, or whatever, or he went round to the guy's place to repair a TV cabinet or whatever it was, and in the process, the guy who was having the affair with the man's wife shot and killed him. That's what they think. They can't prove it. They don't know that, but he disappeared that night and he was never ever seen again. His name was Mr. Down. Mr. Vincent Edward Down was his name. Now, this happened, Bridport is where he lived. That's where the red arrow is. And he went to play badminton at Narbala. Now, this is mountainous, hilly country with big forests, rainforests. If you took someone in there and buried their body, they would never ever find them. It's just impassable rainforest in there. I've done a lot of surveillance around this area. It's chock-a-block full of snakes, mosquitoes, blowflies, all sorts of killer insects and spiders, and really dense rainforest, blackberries, that sort of thing, man ferns. Every man fern has a snake sitting in top of it because the sun doesn't hit the floor. And when you're walking through to do surveillance, to get your bush and rural surveillance position, you're just looking at snakes looking at you everywhere. And up at Bridport, that's the area where the big lavender farm is in Tasmania, and the snakes love the lavender farm. If you go there, you'll see a lot of snakes. It's really good fun. So it's like a free ticket for snakes as well as the lavender farm. But this is where he disappeared. Now, the guy that did the killing was named Alvin Feuerhammer, and he is the person that did it. Now, he died on September 2nd, 1994 by shooting himself just after he shot his wife. second wife. Now, this is the deal. Killers become emboldened by what they've done. And this is why the police and our legal system just takes it so seriously. You're not getting away with it, mate, because you do one, you get capable of doing 50. Down in Victoria this week, in that trial that we just talked about, this guy's accused of killing 2 elderly people at a campsite. He claims that they were wrestling over a shotgun and it actually accidentally went off twice and accidentally shot both of them twice. That's what he claims. Now, not that one. This is that guy's first wife. She was found at the front of their house. She had taken multiple drugs and alcohol, and she was found in the fetal position dead in the front of their house several years ago. You can look it up. It's in the newspapers, right? It's not hidden from view. And you can see a name. This was her husband at the time. This is the man that's been accused and being defended this week of killing those 2 campers in the high country in Victoria. He's done it before, and he did it to 2 people in the high country as well. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Justice does catch up with this guy. All those cross-examining people, they only have to sow reasonable doubt in the mind of the jury, like Casey does when she's cross-examining people, by telling them they made it all up. It's a pack of lies. They don't know the rules of evidence. Nothing to do with really what happened. And if he sows that doubt and the jury can't get away with it, he's 3 up and walks free. So that's really something to watch down in Victoria this week. Yeah, it's improbable, but you're entitled to a defence in our system. No one was there that could speak to say it. He certainly made sure of that. No one was ever going to say what happened because they accidentally got shot with a shotgun at close range. So the forensic analysis of the bloodstains was very difficult because it was pretty well cleaned up or burnt. So the forensic person's evidence was challenged quite extensively. And the test on the firearm, they found out this week, wasn't on the actual firearm, it was on a similar one. So how that happened, I don't know. That's a bit of a concern, a bit of a worry. So we'll watch it as it evolves. It'll probably go for another 4 weeks, that trial. There's no winners at the end of it. But let's hope justice is served, because what you've just seen is a 1969 case and one that's still relevant today. And it goes to someone that's done it before. Really interesting. Very interesting. Thanks for watching, people. You've been watching episode 265 of Spy Curious. I've got to try and get to these engraved this week and get them out to our last 3 winners. If you have a hobby or an interest and it takes you away from your work and it stops you thinking about it, like Jack did, and certainly like Chris did, and like Sharon did, and the other 3 whose names I'm getting engraved this week, I hope Jack, Chris and Sharon, Chris and Sharon have got their medals. Jack should arrive later on, early next week, I think. So I hope they come soon. You've been watching episode 265. Thanks for the tip, Casey. I'm sure you're very busy.
Yes, very.
We will be back next week. We'll be back the week after, but after that we'll be having 2 weeks off because Casey will be cross-examining again Queensland government inspectorates, and we have 2 weeks in a row of heavy training, but we've still got 2 weeks before we'll be back to do some more with this. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching. We'll go out in our usual way.
작전 종료. 전원 복귀할 것.
Our mission is complete, and the investigation I woke up to at 4 a.m. this morning.
If you ask me, I'll tell you. If you ask me, this was arson.
Arson?
Aye, someone arsing around. That's right, one of you lot.
And if you ever get a chance to see Casey Pine cross-examining, don't miss it, because she had a lot of victims last week, and at one stage she was shouting this at the top of her voice.
Not good enough, Joe. Not nearly good enough.
And those words will be haunting them for a very long time. See you next week, people. Thanks for watching.
Have a great weekend.